So Dr. Grundy, your book is Color and Character, the American Struggle Over Educational Equality. And I've had the opportunity to really discuss with you, even at our church, the history of West Charlotte. I have members of my church who are members of West Charlotte. And so one of the things I wanted to kind of start the conversation with was the neighborhood that was. And I know, I can remember when you talk about the research and just talk about how, and even to this day, how people still meet and talk about their times at West Charlotte. The class is Race, Poverty, and Justice. Mm-hmm. And so trying to understand now why some areas of Charlotte are in so much poverty, right? Mm-hmm. And looking at that and understanding that it is impacting one particular racial group mm-hmm. different than another group. So you have the race and then the poverty and then the justice of all of that and how people feel as though it was injustice in the way it was handled. So in many ways, the story of Brooklyn, Second Ward, West Charlotte High School captures all of the elements of race, poverty, and justice in this class, and a lot of it is going to start coming together as we do our literature reviews and working on some of our projects. But I've learned, just like I believe Dr. King learned in his last days when he said, it doesn't really matter about me anymore, right? I might not get there with you, right, but it doesn't really matter. And he understood, and I think he began to receive in his heart at that time that my fight is not for me. Mm-hmm. It's for the generations that are coming. Mm-hmm. And it's a sad reality that I'm beginning to embrace because it hurts me to know that I'm never going to see real justice in my life. I'm 50 years old. I'm never going to see real justice in my life. In my opinion, we'll always see platitudes. And what Dr. King, even in his writings, he's talked about one of the greatest threats was tokenism. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I might see tokenism, I might see platitudes, but will I ever meet a day where me as a Black man can walk down the street and people from a different color not be afraid of me mm-hmm. or treat me with suspicion? Mm-hmm. The reality is I'll probably never see that day, but that doesn't mean I stop fighting for it because, as Dr. King said, it doesn't really matter about me, and mm-hmm. that's how I see it. That's what I'm looking at now. And the reason is because it's so entrenched. The mm-hmm. racism, the poison fruit is so poisonous. Like you have to pull the roots up, but pulling the roots up is not something that you can do overnight, especially right. with roots that took 2-3 generations to get as strong as they are. Mm-hmm. And we have to pull those roots up. The roots are what is, every time we protest and we do these things, we rake up leaves. But what needs to happen is branches need to be cut down, roots need to be pulled up. And that's going to take time, a lot of time. That's going to take a lot of money. That's going to take a lot of power. And it's going to take God for those who believe in God. I put a Facebook post up there and notice the date. And I said, I get the feeling a riot may break out soon somewhere. I pray it don't, but we're talking about a food shortage, long lines for food, glitches in system providing temporary benefits, disproportionate outcome, and I put hashtag powder keg. What's interesting about that date? It's before George Floyd.
And what happened after the murder of George Floyd? There were riots everywhere. Because again, it was already a powder keg. All it needed was a spark.